So there's been quite a lot going on in the PUBG world in terms of new maps, right? Karakin is actually the first brand new map of 2020, and we're only at the beginning of the year. In 2019, we had a long dry spell of essentially no new maps as far as content, and we had a grand whopping total of one new map last year, and that's fine as far as I'm concerned. It was Vikendi Remastered, and even though it was a rehash of a map we've already played, I think it's my favorite map in the game currently. They did an absolutely excellent job on Vikendi Remastered, and so of course we have the new small map Karakin coming out, but we also have reason to believe that Vikendi is going to be getting a remaster as well. So where is all this coming from? Why am I bringing the idea of another remaster up? Well, to catch everyone up to speed, we have to bring you back to the announcement of the new season that happened just a couple of days ago. With the announcement of Season 6, they were saying that there is now going to be a non-permanent map slot that essentially is rotating, and so there was the rumor that was going around Vikendi's getting removed from the game. That actually ended up being true, and it is going to be removed. Actually, the day that I'm recording this video right now, Vikendi is going to be removed in just a couple of hours. But as we've mentioned already, they're removing Vikendi for a reason, and so to really kind of clarify this, I'm going to read exactly what the developer note says, and then we'll take some information from there. In referring to the new Karakin map and also Vikendi, they go on to say this: "We've been thinking a lot about how we could add our new map without negatively impacting queue times, as Karakin would become the 5th map in our rotation and add additional queues to the list. Our solution is the introduction of rotating map slots. A rotating map slot is a non-permanent map that will change from time to time. Our goal is to provide stable matchmaking times while keeping map choice fresh. For our first rotation, Vikendi will rotate out to make room for Karakin. Maps that are rotated out will still be available to play in custom games, of course." Now, before we move on to the second part of that letter, I just want to quickly break that down as well. This absolutely makes sense, and I told you guys this is exactly the reason this is happening. Figured if they're adding a 5th map to the rotation, something is going to happen to one of the other original ones in order to make room for this, whether it was a rotating map selection or some other solution. We knew something was sort of going on in the background, but this is finally revealed what they're going to be doing with this. It's basically a non-permanent map slot that essentially each map is going to take turns in being rotated in and out for other maps. So maybe next time Sanhok or Erangel or Miramar will be rotated out. Now here's something that's kind of interesting. I mentioned in my last video talking about when Vikendi was getting removed that I personally would have liked to see Sanhok get rotated out first, just because it's my least favorite map. I probably enjoy that one the least out of all of them, all things considered. Again, I don't think Sanhok is a bad map, but comparatively speaking to the other 3 experiences, these are just ones that I personally prefer. And so in the comment section of that video, what's fascinating is, for the most part, you guys tended to agree, where, you know, you guys are pretty much saying Vikendi shouldn't be the one that's removed first, because it's a lot of people's absolute favorite map, or just one of the ones they enjoy the most, and a lot of people were suggesting either Sanhok or Miramar to get removed instead. And what's weird is that, according to some data and research I've done, Sanhok is actually the most popular map in this game. When I first heard that, it was kind of hard to believe, but the more I think about it, I kind of get it now. I understand. And so it's kind of a tactical decision on their part to remove Vikendi first rather than doing Sanhok. And I imagine the next map that's going to be rotating out with that information in mind is probably going to be Miramar. So anyways, we know Vikendi's getting removed temporarily. We got that down. Let's read the second part, what they have to say about it. "Speaking of Vikendi, since we've launched the Snowy Slaughterhouse back in December of 2018, we've received a lot of feedback. Performance, spawn balance, and even buildings were all places with room for improvement, some of which we already attempted, but we feel we can still do better. That said, while Vikendi is on vacation, we'll be going in and doing a bigger revamp of the map than we've previously done. When it's time for it to come back, there will be plenty of new stuff for you to explore and enjoy. Until then, trade in your snowballs for sticky bombs and hot drop into the new hotness." This is, of course, referring to Karakin. Let's go ahead and try and pick that apart a little bit. There's actually quite a lot that... Oh god, I think I just cracked my phone screen. Nah, we're good, boys, don't worry. Anyways, they say a lot in this paragraph that is quite telling, to be honest. And so some of the biggest things they're working on include performance and also spawn balance. You might remember, if you played Vikendi when it first came out, this map was all SMGs and shotguns. It was the most frustrating loot pool you could have ever played in a map that's set up for long-range combat like this. That, and also the FPS, the performance that you would get on this map was pretty poor, and for a lot of players still is is a little bit subpar. I haven't had any problems with it, you know, in the past. It's been pretty smooth for me ever since after the early days, but I kind of understand how Vikendi can be a little bit performance heavy. I genuinely think that's a big part of why this isn't more people's favorite map. I think Vikendi not only is the prettiest map aesthetically, but also is one of the most fun to play, but I think it turned a lot of people off due to the really bad loot balance at the beginning and also some of the performance issues. If it didn't have those on launch, I think this map would have been received much better. I'd also go so far as to say this map has seen the most overhauls and major changes without being a proper remaster. If we're not including Erangel in this, Vikendi has undergone some massive changes, even bigger than Miramar, during its own season, where the terrain of Vikendi was completely reworked, especially around the middle ground where Mount Kresnik was a lot higher. They shortened and flattened it out a little bit to make the gunfights a little bit more interesting. They completely went and redid entire towns and buildings, restructuring them fundamentally and changing the map. And so these were all really positive changes that made the map play better. There was also a lot of changes to the blue zone early on and still going on today. The blue zone was probably the worst part about this map, being as slow and annoying as it was. The middle game was pretty much non-existent, and you would have like a really interesting beginning and then a really interesting end, but nothing at all in the middle. They pretty much fixed that problem entirely a while ago with the new blue zone rule settings, and especially for this map, the way the zone works, it's much better than it used to be when the map dropped. And so they've also frozen over all of the swimmable water, and especially in the middle of the map where Castle is, making this area a lot more maneuverable and just interesting to play, because now the zone can actually be in this area without being impossible. And so this map has seen a lot of improvements. You know, I just kind of listed all the big major changes that this has gone throughout its time, but something bigger is coming for this map, and that's what they say in this letter. I think it's pretty accurate to say that in this line where they say Vikendi's on vacation and we'll be going in and doing a bigger revamp of the map than we've previously done, I don't know what to call that other than a remaster, because they've pretty much already remastered the map, especially if you compare it to early on when it was new, and Vikendi now, it's a night and day difference. And speaking of night, having night mode on this map exclusively is also a really cool thing. I think the night mode is one of the best ways to play this map. Not only is it pretty, it's interesting as far as its lighting, and it works. So what things can we expect in this remaster? I think a couple of things we know for sure. First of all, buildings are likely going to be changed once again. Now, this is one of the things that they were just not happy with Vikendi. They were changing a lot of the layouts and just geometries of a lot of the buildings already, and so I think they're going to take that a step further. Probably rework entire towns and the way that buildings are laid out. Expect some major structural changes. Not only that, but spawn balance is probably going to also get an overhaul, as well as new areas. And I bring that point up in particular because, as you guys probably know, Vikendi was the first map to introduce a proper secret area with the loot cave, where you basically break into it either with a vehicle or a grenade. It's a cave that has care package spawns, and it's very high risk but high reward to go to. Unfortunately, now no loot actually spawns in this cave anymore, so it's kind of pointless. The problem was everyone figured out about it, and so basically half the lobby would jump in just into this one secret area, and it kind of defeated the purpose of having it there. So while that one is no longer viable, I guess, unless they change it, we could probably see some new ones in the future. Now, I would also expect to see some new weapons, as always, and I would personally love to see a Dragunov sniper rifle for this map, and not only would I think it fit the aesthetic, but it'd also just be a fun gun to play with. I'd also like to see the P90, which we know, according to leaks, is already being worked on and tested, so maybe it's going to be included within this map, or maybe later. One thing we do know for sure is that Vikendi will be returning with the MP5 and also the G36. That's probably not a surprise to any of you, but in the new season pass that we have, where it has MP5 and G36 skins, these are earnable, but you can't play with them literally at all, and so they're there for a reason, and we're going to be able to bring these into our games later, but this is going to be after the new revamped, remastered Vikendi drops. I've been starting to grow a much greater appreciation for Vikendi, to be honest. Ever since the announcement of its rotating out or its removal, I've kind of understood all of the good qualities and just amazing things that are included in this map, and so I really hope they capitalize on those things and take it a step further in this big revamp and remaster that they're doing. And so what I want to know from you guys in the comments is, what feature in particular would you like to see in the Vikendi remaster? What about Vikendi in particular do you really like and would like to see more of in the next upcoming iteration? There's probably a ton of features that I'm missing out on that I haven't mentioned that should be capitalized on in the next version of this map, but Unfortunately, we don't know exactly when Vikendi's coming back to us. They didn't give us a time frame in this update about when it's going to be returned, but I would probably expect if we're going off of anything that they're doing, it's probably going to be after this season where we enjoy Karakin and really explore that and figure what it has to offer. The next season might be Vikendi's, and so potentially that's the remaster. That's like the big piece of content that's coming with that future update. And so that's my prediction. Maybe it'll come sooner. I have no idea, and just be rotated in to swap like something like Miramar out. I'm not really sure. You guys can let me know your theories about that, but that's pretty much it. That's why I think Vikendi Remastered is coming, and I want to know what you guys think about it. But anyways, guys, if you enjoyed the video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you are brand new around here. That would be great. And also go follow me over on Twitch where I'm streaming. Link is in the description down below. I'll see you guys over there. It's a great place to hang out. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all on the next live stream or the next video. I gotta go, guys. Have a good one, and peace out.